90 minutes, a mixture of history and politics at the Paris summit. British Columbia nurses reject a tentative agreement. In sports, the Argonauts lose in their home opener. In entertainment, a close-up look at the latest 007, Timothy Dalton.
Farewell to arms.
And the final price tag on the Sky Dome. Those stories next.
First News with Thalia Shuris.
Good afternoon. Richard Brown is away. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney joined more than 30 other world leaders in Paris today. They're there to commemorate the French Revolution's ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. A ceremony this afternoon launched what will be a busy weekend of parties to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution. Actors read portions of the Declaration of the Rights of Man. It was proclaimed in October 1789, before the Reign of Terror began. The summit of the 7 leading Western industrial democracies will get underway tomorrow amid the pomp and ceremony surrounding the anniversary. It's expected the main subjects of the summit will be the crackdown on dissent in China as well as the environment. NATO drew a cool response from the Warsaw Pact today after the Western Alliance formally submitted an American proposal to cut conventional weapons in Europe. The new proposal includes cuts in combat aircraft and helicopters, although both sides still can't agree on the definition of a combat aircraft. While NATO called the presentation sound, the Warsaw Pact said it contained nothing new of substance. We have more in this report from John Dancy.
The current session of the arms talks closed this morning in Vienna, with the U.S. delegation putting forward its plan for deep cuts in conventional arms. The U.S. proposal today fleshes out the one President Bush made at the NATO summit in May. Both sides would reduce to equal levels of tanks, armored troop carriers, and artillery pieces. Both sides would reduce to 275,000 men. That would force the Soviets to cut 325,000 men, while the West would only have to drop about 30,000. The new element is this. The U.S. proposes a ceiling of 5,700 combat aircraft and 1,900 helicopters. The U.S. has proposed that any plane that flies and shoots be designated a combat aircraft. That's a wide definition that would force the Soviets to give up thousands of interceptor fighters they say are purely defensive.
On his way here to Paris this morning, President Bush said he believes Mikhail Gorbachev wants to move ahead quickly on conventional arms talks. If Gorbachev doesn't, Mr. Bush said, he's wrong. The United States is hoping for a Soviet response when the arms talks resume September 7th. John Dancy, NBC News, Paris.
There was a dramatic rescue today of a pilot who crashed his private plane in the Atlantic Ocean after falling ill in mid-flight. Rescue planes tracked the aircraft for close to 4 hours after the pilot radioed he was suffering chest pains shortly after leaving Washington, D.C. Rescuers could see him slumped over the controls. There was no one else aboard. The plane ran out of gas and crashed in the Bahamas. The pilot was pulled from the plane by U.S. Air Force parachutists. He's been identified as Thomas Root, a resident of Washington, D.C. He's currently in a Florida hospital receiving medical treatment. And in another sea rescue, a container ship picked up a badly burned Canadian from his sailboat in the Atlantic today. 63-year-old Albert Wilson ran into trouble when the stove on his yacht exploded about 1,000 kilometers west of the Azores. Ham radio operators from around the world kept his spirits up while the Wellington, Ontario man waited for rescue. British Columbia's nurses turned down a tentative agreement today. It would have given them a wage increase of almost 30% over 3 years. Following their decision, a hospital spokesperson said there's no more money to sweeten the deal. Voting 65% against the deal, BC nurses ignored the recommendation of their bargaining committee. A nurses representative says they will continue their Work to Rule campaign and their ban on overtime. Critics said the deal did not offer enough money or benefits to keep nurses in the profession. 7 AIDS activists were charged today with trespassing. They held a protest outside the offices of Bristol Myers in Toronto. The activists say the pharmaceutical company is refusing to release an experimental drug for critically ill patients in Canada. When protesters wouldn't leave, police removed them and charged them with trespassing. According to recent studies, the drug shows promise in slowing advance of the HIV virus that causes AIDS. The company released a letter during the protest saying the drug would be made available on compassionate grounds when second phase studies get underway in September. Avis Favreau will have more later in the broadcast. Massive floods continue to devastate parts of southwestern China today. The floods have hit the heavily populated province of Sichuan. Torrential rains triggered landslides, leaving some towns and villages completely cut off. At least 370 people have died. It's been described as the worst flooding in the area in living memory. State radio says reports that some villagers have been rescued, but that hundreds remain missing. After several weeks with thousands of earthquakes, Japan was shaken again today by a huge offshore volcano. The eruption sent plumes of steam and smoke into the sky near Ito City, southwest of Tokyo. Although the immediate danger of a tidal wave is over, a navigation warning was issued to nearby ships. John Lewis has more.
The first sign was a strong earth tremor, then a cloud of smoke and water rising hundreds of feet out of the sea. That sent local residents of Ito City on the Izu Peninsula, about 60 miles southwest of Tokyo, running. It also sent officials of Japan's meteorological agency to their seismographs. What they saw told them that the first quake was so strong, the needles on those sensitive machines pegged to the maximum reading. What they foresaw was perhaps the birth of a new island. Officials agreed that a series of undersea explosions had taken place and could likely continue, something that, while scientifically interesting, could pose more immediate danger. The undersea eruptions are apparently centered between Teishi and Hatsushima, two small islands very near the Ito shoreline. That has raised the fear of tsunami or tidal waves that could quickly wash ashore. Ito residents have been warned to be prepared for any eventuality, not that they needed to be told. Since the beginning of the month, the Ito area has been rocked by over 20,000 earthquakes, many weak enough to be felt only by sensitive scientific measuring devices. Many, but not all. Only last Sunday, the city of 72,000 was shaken by two earthquakes, powerful enough to cause damage and to send over 20 people to hospitals. Officials say they have no immediate plans to evacuate local residents, but they are keeping an eye on the situation. So, too, are those local residents. John Lewis, CNN, Tokyo.
The chairman of the Sky Dome Corporation announced the final cost of the dome today. The figure is almost 3 times the original cost, and Martin Connell says it will take 15 years to pay off. 3 new investors, including York Region developer Marco Muzzo, have joined the consortium to supply new money. David Hatch has more on the story.
The former Premier of Ontario, one of the men who started it all, looked on as the announcement was made.
Our board of directors this morning have approved revised capital cost estimates today for the complex of $532,200,000.
That's over 3 times the dome's original price tag. Still, over 1/2 of that price has been raised through government donations, consortium memberships, and skybox sales. Martin O'Connell says the dome has been left with a $235 million debt, but that's expected to be paid off through bank loans in just 15 years. When analyzing the costs, Skydome President Chuck Magwood says that overtime paid out in order for the dome to meet its June 3rd deadline added an extra $15 million to the cost. Plus, there was what he called extra enhancements.
The hotel, health club, Sky Place, and other enhancements, as I'd call it, which are really over and above the stadium itself, amount to almost $200 million of the total.
Skydome officials say the facility has surpassed expectations in almost every way, and they certainly got that right. David Hatch, Global News, Toronto.
Coming up next, some revolutionary thoughts on the legendary Marie Antoinette.
A car has to be serviced properly. It has to be maintained properly. And at Goodyear, we do that.
Mark Haynes is a tune-up specialist for Goodyear.
We do engine diagnosis. We do fuel injection. do electronics diagnosis, we do tune-ups, we do brakes, we do suspension work. We don't just do tires anymore.
The Goodyear Diagnostic Tune-Up. Signed, sealed, and certified by Goodyear.
We know what we're doing, we get the job done, and we stand behind it. That's what Goodyear Certified Auto Service means.
It's a 2-hour mystery special as a hunted, dying man confides in Father Dowling, leaving him with no clues and no corpse.
In fact, there's every evidence to suggest foul play.
Leading Father Dowling and Sister Steve on a bizarre search.
Stay away from things that don't concern you.
And that can only lead us to one conclusion.
A deadly conclusion. The Missing Body Mystery, a Father Dowling mystery special. Monday at 9 on Global.
As the bicentennial celebrations get underway in France, one of the key players in the revolution is being seen under a new light. Marie Antoinette was wife to Louis XVI. History books speak of what she symbolized to the people, all that was evil with a pleasure-driven monarchy. Charles Althorpe investigates whether that was the case.
Versailles, outside Paris, built by Louis XIV, the so-called Sun King, at the height of the power of the French monarchy. But it was the sort of extravagance which resulted in this magnificent palace which, within a century, led to the French Revolution and the execution of a king and his controversial queen. Marie Antoinette is perhaps the most widely known name of the French Revolution. An Austrian, she arrived in the French court aged 15, a spirited girl who must have thought she had the world at her fingertips, but who's remembered by history because of the loss of her head. Almost from the start of her reign, Marie Antoinette was unpopular. Critics were jealous of her circle of friends, who were mainly, like herself, foreigners. And the Queen, far removed from real life in an increasingly depressed country, continued to play when a better informed or more sensitive character would have abstained. Amidst all the poverty and austerity of late 18th century France, the Queen's fun-loving, profligate lifestyle appalled her people. The French wanted Marie Antoinette to be a symbol of virtue, of good Roman Catholic motherhood. Instead, they decided their king had married a demon they called the Austrian whore. At the same time, her husband, Louis XVI, was a disappointment to a nation who wanted to believe that their king was divine.
He never really believed in his divinity, poor thing. And if he did think Louis XVI was a god, I mean, if he really thought he was God, all he had to do was look in the mirror and see this rather sweet, fat, dumpy man waddling around and see if this is, you know, God, literally, God help us. This is not a godlike figure.
Give me something to kill with!
So the picture the French had of their royal family by the time revolution broke out was of a queen hell-bent on pleasure and a king who couldn't control her. Rumors about Marie Antoinette's sexual appetite and preferences were everywhere, but appeared to have little substance, just like another great myth. Apparently, she never actually said, "Let them eat cake," when told the poor had run out of bread to eat.
Precisely because so many people spent such a lot of time saying this is a disgusting vixen, a hooker, a monster. Had she said that, it would certainly have been reported in the revolutionary newspapers. And there was no mention of this story until way after she's dead.
But it would be wrong to see Marie Antoinette as a total innocent during the revolution. She did commit treason when revealing French military secrets to the enemy Austrians. And a disastrous failed attempt by the royal family to escape abroad confirmed the revolutionaries' worst suspicions. Marie Antoinette and her family were in prison. The king was executed, leaving her to look after the children, until she was separated from them, maliciously accused of having an unnatural, incestuous relationship with her young son, and sent to the conciergerie prison, final home for those destined for the guillotine. On the 16th of October, 1793, Marie Antoinette was led from her cell, her hair shaved, to make a final journey to her execution.
She goes to the guillotine really hated by many, many people, a really kind of pathetic victim of her own obstinacy and really awful circumstances over which she had no control.
To the crowd's disappointment, she showed no fear. A victim of events beyond her control, perhaps. A tragic figure, for sure. This is Charles Althorpe, NBC News, Paris.
So Marie Antoinette did not say, "Let them eat cake." This is about the 100th time I've heard that this week, so Anyway,
Poor
Susan
girl.
Hay with the 5-day weather forecast.
Well, after yesterday, Thalia, I'm not going to ask you if you noticed any showers this morning.
No.
You're
Okay,
off the
so
hook,
don't
because they were
ask.
quite early at daybreak. I'm not going to.
Okay.
Anyway, pretty much the same thing tomorrow morning, and then some sunshine's going to manage to peek through, and then we're heading into a very nice weekend right across Ontario. On to our 5-day forecast now, beginning with the north. And tonight, a clearing trend is expected. Sunny tomorrow, becoming sunny on Saturday. Cloudy with a chance of showers Sunday, becoming sunny by afternoon, then continuing into Monday. Lows 5 to 10 and daytime highs 19 to 23. Eastern sections, cloudy with a chance of showers this evening. Friday morning cloud, then becoming sunny by afternoon. Mostly sunny Saturday, Sunday. A mix of sun and cloud Monday with a chance of showers. Lows 10 to 11 and highs 21 to 23. Central areas now clouding over tonight with a slight chance of showers, becoming sunny Friday, continuing into Saturday, and most of Sunday as well with some afternoon cloud cover and more sunshine Monday. Lows 8 to 10 and daytime highs 21 to 22. To the southwest, including Windsor, just a few clouds tonight. Friday morning cloud cover with sunshine by the afternoon. Sunny Saturday, Sunday. Variable cloudiness for the start of the work week with showers possible. Lows 10 to 11 and daytime highs over the next 5 days 22 to 23. Finally now, the Toronto region, just a few clouds tonight. Friday morning cloud with a chance of showers, but sunshine by afternoon. Clear skies this Saturday and Sunday, and the chance of showers for the start of the work week. Now, overnight lows 10 to 12, so they're quite cool, and daytime highs 21 to about 23 degrees. So we're heading into a very nice weekend, a cool breeze out of the north. I'll have full weather details a little later on in the broadcast, but now we go back to Thalia.
Thank you, Susan. Bob, soon to be on vacation, McAdory, with probably good weather, with a preview of entertainment now.
Excellent weather coming up for my vacation.
I know. I'm
And
envious.
some pretty good entertainment news, too. Timothy Dalton rides again as Secret Agent 007 right after this.
Announcing the estimated jackpot for this Saturday's Lotto 649 draw.
$4 million.
Wow, that's big.
We wanted a shopping bag that would stand out, even when filled with incredible savings and values. So we figured this bag couldn't miss.
Big bag.
Big savings. Sears warehouse sale. Final week.
McCain Super Fries. Deep fried flavor and crispness from your oven. For the strong, silent type.
Well, starting off our look at names and entertainment news tonight, actress Zsa Zsa Gabor has her say in court. Zsa Zsa Gabor is charged with slapping a police officer who stopped her Rolls-Royce to give her a ticket for expired license plates last month. In court yesterday, Gabor pleaded not guilty, explaining to reporters it was all in self-defense.
I hit him for self-defense. He hurt me so much that I had to I said, officer, he hurt me. He says, as I will hurt you even more, I will break your both arms. That's not, but who the hell does he think he can hit me? Who is he? I pay his money, I pay the taxes.
The judge has scheduled a pre-trial hearing in the case for 3 weeks from now. But Ms. Gabor will not face a jury until at least September because of previous commitments. After yesterday's court appearance, one reporter asked her if she was embarrassed about the whole incident.
What a silly question. Why should I be embarrassed? Because your American policeman beats up a European woman. Why should I be embarrassed? You should be embarrassed.
Actress Marcia Strassman, who stars in the hit summer movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, says she's overwhelmed with the success that the film is having. While Strassman admits she really enjoyed working on the movie, she says seeing it jump to the top of the box office charts was a real thrill.
You know you do something good, and you know you're doing something quality, and you know you're doing something that your kid can see in 15 years, you know, and keep seeing over and over. But when it's a success like this, it's just phenomenal.
Actor Michael York received the Paul Masson International Style Award in Santa Monica the other night. York was cited for his outstanding style and artistic talents. The award was presented at a reception and retrospective for French artist Jean Cocteau at the Santa Monica Museum.
Style is something so elusive that once you've pinned it down, you've destroyed it.
And finally, Diana, the Princess of Wales, has decided against plastic surgery on her nose because it fears the results could be even worse. According to a recent report, Diana's doctor advised her against the surgery on her nose. Besides, Diana reportedly says she couldn't possibly go around with her nose in bandages for days. And that Zsa Zsa story, did you hear yesterday that her husband, Prince Ludwig or something of Germany, testified at the court that the flask of whiskey found in her rolls belonged to him. He left it there. Says he's a hunter. And hunters spend long hours waiting on the cold moors, and they need their whiskey flask. What a preposterous story. What do you hunt in Beverly Hills? Bargains on Rodeo Drive? I often wonder how judges and magistrates get through a day with a straight face. Now, I once met a Toronto magistrate who told me that in his 30 years on the bench, he never once met a defendant who had more than 2 beers. No matter what the charge, drunken, disorderly, assault and battery, were you drinking? I had 2 beers, Your Honor. Never 1, never 3, never a gin and tonic or a frozen daiquiri, always 2 beers. People have 2 beers and decide to trash the bar and wreck the car. Okay, that's what's wrong with our society. 2 beers. License to Kill, the new James Bond movie, opens tomorrow. This will be the second 007 flick for classical actor Timothy Dalton. I met with Dalton on the weekend in Key West, Florida, where much of the film was shot, and we talked about his career and his Ian Fleming role.
Timothy, most young boys, when they're attracted to your profession, it happens when they see a magic figure on the big screen, James Bond, perhaps. With you, you were 16 years old, you saw an Old Vic presentation of Macbeth, and that was it.
Well, I think that's where it crystallized. I mean, I, too, when I was a kid, used to go to the Saturday morning pictures to watch the cartoons and the cowboy films and the Flash Gordons and the pirates, and that's when I think I was captivated. But, you know, from a kid in the provinces, I mean, how does that translate to anything you can do? You know, it's up on a screen. When I saw my first play and realized that it was real people in the same room as me telling me a wonderful story, you know, as a play, that's when I kind of knew that I could at least attempt to have a go at doing it.
This role, the James Bond, I know that this would be a great plum for many actors. They would kill for it. And yet I would think in the beginning of your career, mid-career as an actor, any trepidation there?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Stamped by the 007 and...
A lot. A lot. I mean, certainly if you pull it off, you reach a huge audience, and if you almost, it's a given that if you pull it off, it's given a lot of pleasure to people, which is terrific. But, you know, if you fail, if you don't make it work, you'd be very, very seriously hurt. I mean, it would be a world-famous failure. One's career in films would be severely damaged.
I wasn't thinking of that.
Oh.
Timothy is not going to fail. You have too much training and background.
You think of that beforehand.
Even success with James Bond is a double-edged sword.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, it could be. I think it depends how you respond to it. I'm lucky. I've been a working professional actor for 20 years. I've made movies in television and theater. I have some experience in both living and the nature of our work. I would find it horrendous if success or celebrity cut me off from life, from the world, because that's the sustenance of all our work, your work, my work. We're dealing with life.
All right, let's get to your character. It's different. You at once, of course, you're being compared with Roger Moore and Lazenby and Sean Connery. One and the same time, you are more sinister, perhaps, than other Bonds, and yet you're also more emotional, more vulnerable. Was this...
Thank you.
Was this an effort on your part? Is that the way you wanted to?
Yeah, very much. Very much. It seems to me to be that is true to the character Fleming created. He did create a man. And a hero has to be human. I mean, for us as an audience, we want to feel the same fear and the same oppression that the hero feels, and we'd like to be able to feel we can overcome it, that we can conquer it.
You have an assignment, and I expect you to carry it out objectively and professionally.